Hi, it's Kerry at Veganxious. I thought I'd do a little chat today about worries going vegan and worries about going vegan because I've seen a few people ask this on some support sites, and it was something when I first went vegan I didn't worry about at all. I thought it'd be easy. I wasn't worried at all. And then as the days went on and I started to tell people, then I did start to get a few worries about certain things like meals out, family events, going around friends' houses, going out with mums and children and having children to tea, and all those sort of general worries that if you were sort of a celiac or anything like that, you would start to worry about how what we're going to make sure if you had a nut allergy almost. So those sort of things were actually really easy to overcome. And I found that a bit of research and a bit of like trusting in your own judgment on what you eat. I mean, you do that every day anyway. It wasn't a diet, it was just swapping out things for other things, getting a new cookbook. So it really wasn't that hard at all. And actually, the decision for me is based on being vegan, which is about stopping animal abuse. So I don't want to abuse animals anymore. So I won't make that transition lightly because it's so easy to just decide, okay, I didn't realize before that cheese involved animal cruelty and abuse and harm and death to animals and cows, and it doesn't really matter what breed they are or what animal it is. I just knew that I didn't want to be part of that anymore, so I won't have that because I've been lied to all my life. I've never known the truth, so now I don't have to. So I decided another great way would be to join lots of groups, which, yeah, it is really good. But and I mean like the Facebook groups, the vegan food finds or um, accidentally vegan finds. They were all brilliant, especially for like hit my kid and the transition of what biscuits she can have and what crisps she can have. So they were really good. And then I started going on to a few. I'd already been a vegetarian, so I decided to add a few vegetarian, vegan, flexitarian groups, support groups, so that I could get a bit of information. Because being newly vegan, I thought getting help from other newly transitioning people would be a great help for me to be on the same wavelength of them. And what I sort of started to notice on these groups were a lot of people saying, oh, what do we do if you go to friends and family's houses? What do we do if you are invited out for a meal? And what I wanted to hear was, yeah, it's fine. Tell them this is how you do it. Ring ahead and find from the restaurant whether they served the right meal. Explain to your family, well, I don't believe in animal cruelty anymore, so I really would prefer not to have that when I come round. And if you can't do that, then I'll bring my own. And the sort of things I started to find were, oh, it's okay if you make mistakes, and we all make those little decisions now and then that it's not fair on family to have to make vegan food for you. So if you're going to have cheese here and there, that's fine. Or if you're going to have that odd bit of milk because somebody's gone to the effort of making you a cup of tea and you forgot to tell them that you don't drink cow's milk, it's more rude to turn that down. This really surprised me, and I started to see a lot of these posts and a lot of people also talking about their coping with animal images. And I don't like these other groups where people post images of animal abuse, and I just don't think that's right. And loads of vegetarians and flexitarians saying, yes, I think this is really unfair, pushing these opinions on people, pushing, making us feel bad if we haven't got there yet. If you haven't got there yet, you're not against animal abuse. You're doing a diet. And the reason you feel bad for making these mistakes, which they're not mistakes if you've gone in and made the conscious decision to have that milk or to go round to your mum's house and have lasagna with cheese on it. That's a choice. And you've made that choice. So you've decided I'm going to have that now and again. So, and then you say, seeing these images are making me feel guilty. I don't think this is good for my mental health. you are going to feel guilty if you're still partaking in animal abuse. I don't feel guilty, and I have the most anxious mind. I overthink everything. I worry about everything. The only thing I don't worry about now is the fact that when I see anything, any of these images, they don't make me feel bad because I know I'm doing something about them. I was watching the news the other night and it came up about giving, at the moment with COVID, giving money to those in need in Africa and other countries where children and families are starving because they're not getting the help they need. And yes, it was horrific seeing those images, but I couldn't believe that no one, the reason they're not getting food is because of we're taking their food, but I don't have that guilt anymore. So for you to go on to pages like these flexitarian, vegetarian groups and get that affirmation that you're okay by making these choices to sometimes have cheese and sometimes have that or bit of chicken or something, is you just getting from the masses somebody saying it's okay for you doing what you know is wrong. Otherwise, you wouldn't ask it. I don't ask them on there, is it okay that I'm vegan? I don't ask anybody, is it okay if I was vegan? Does anybody have worries about the fact that when they go around their houses that they're not eating it? I don't worry about that. I ask for examples on how people speak to their family because I can be quite abrupt and without falling out with people, but I don't ever feel like I need support on whether I'm doing the right thing because I know I'm doing the right thing because I'm doing it for the animals. When you don't look at this from their point of view, that is when you'll feel bad and that is when you'll have struggles and that is when you'll get anxious. It's not the veganism that's making your mind anxious. It's not the fact that you're saving animals' lives and humans' lives and the planet and yourself. It's you deciding not to be strong enough for them and making that decision and then feeling guilty. So when you see these horrible images and they play on your mind, yes, they do play on my mind. What do I do about them? I speak out for them. It's when you keep that inside, that's when it eats away at you. And I think that's where a lot of people are struggling when I see these groups because they all pat each other on the back like, yeah, it's all right if I had a pizza the other night and I see these little memes of like someone scoffing a pizza and they all go, yeah, yeah, every now and again, like patting themselves on the back that they decided to like partake in exactly what everyone else is partaking. So they all stand and judge themselves higher than other people for not eating meat, whereas I see dairy and I know actually anybody who is against animal abuse will see dairy as being the same, if not worse, than killing for meat because it's prolonged abuse, prolonged stress on the animal, prolonged taking the baby, like the stresses that they go through, the hurt that they go through, the cruelty that they receive is prolonged and it's over and over again that's put on them, and then at the end of it, they still die. But that's okay because you had that pizza and all your mates on your vegetarian groups. But then I put something about you feel guilty because you made the choice to partake in animal cruelty, and I'm reported on the group for not being supportive. I do not, how that's so hypocritical. You're on a group to support people to to become vegan because of animal cruelty, and then I raise the issue that you're patting yourselves on the back for the pizza that you had the other night, and now you're saying that that's not supportive. So I really think if you're struggling with images, struggling with veganism mentally, then it's not the veganism that's making you, it's not anxious, it's not seeing these images is upsetting. But if you're doing something about that, I mean, there's all these images we see on telly about starving children in Africa and places all over the world that are asking for our help, children in the UK that are in abusive families that need to be supported, children that have lost their parents due to cancer or any sort of circumstances that need our help. They're all horrible. We hear in the news about rape um, and people. What about the stories of people that go missing for years and are found 15 years later that have been trapped? That's all in our mind. Our mind can view these images and think the worst, and sometimes actually watching it and processing it and seeing it has really helped me, because I remember I used to be absolutely terrified I was going to get raped. I don't know why. I just thought that was going to happen to me one day, and I was absolutely terrified. I don't know, there was no reason for it. I just was terrified. So then I decided to sort of talk about it with other people, and actually when I talked about it, and the worst thing that could happen is the worst thing that could happen, but actually accepting it and then taking precautions that I wasn't going to go out on my own and walk down that back alleyway on my own, then I knew then that I'd thought the worst thing in my head that could happen, and I knew I was a strong person, that I would have to deal with it if I was out of my control that happened to me. Well, this I do have control over. I can see those images and I can do something about it, and I talk about it, and that is why they don't hang over me, and that is why they don't darken my day every day, because I know these things happen, but I'm doing the best I can, which is never to consume any animal products, wear any animal products, use anything that's tested on animals. So not only am I doing the best for other sentient beings, and I'm not a hypocrite, I'm not somebody who says I love animals when I actually pay for them to be slaughtered on my behalf. I stand by my beliefs. I talk about them to other people, so it hopefully plants a seed within them. And probably that's my only anxiousness sometimes, is in certain settings when I can't speak about it because there's a big group of people, everyone's getting together and talking about a barbecue, and I've just walked in. I can't walk in and go, barbecue, oh, I'm not coming to that mass display of eating dead flesh when it's my bunch of neighbours who don't even know I'm vegan. It's just, and I still feel guilty for not saying those exact words to them then, but it's not the right place or time. If someone said, do you want to come to that barbecue? And I could say, well, actually, I'm vegan, so I would find it a bit uncomfortable. Other people might not. They might be fine going to a barbecue. I do find it uncomfortable, so I could say it then. And I still battle that, because I do just want to shout in people's faces now that I know the truth. But there are situations where I don't, and I would leave it for another time when it's more sensible. But otherwise, seeing images, worrying about going to my friends and families, all those sort of things are easy when you accept not to abuse animals and accept that is the right thing to do. And then you won't have that guilt, and then you won't have to ask other people. You might as well just go and ask a meat eater if you're going on a vegetarian site or a flexitarian site, and asking if it's okay that you're deciding to eat pizza every now and again, because you know it's wrong, and you wouldn't ask that on a vegan site. So at the end of the day, if you're doing this for the true reasons and for the best reasons, which is to stop partaking in animal slaughter and cruelty, then you won't feel these anxious thoughts. So I'm sure a lot of you have found that as well. I don't think I could be more happier since I've become vegan. I found a purpose to do all the things that I worry about in the world, and myself and my health and my family almost has become better because of this, because now I am able to actually make a difference. I'm not chopping up plastic and putting it in a eco bottle and feeling slightly better that that bit of plastic that I bought hasn't gone into the sea. I'm actually now making a huge difference. I do those sort of things as well, but I'm making the biggest difference I can because I'm not partaking in something that is just a massacre on a huge scale. And if that doesn't make you feel better every day, then I don't really know what will. So I really appreciate you listening to me today. I hope that helps a little bit. If you have any other questions or anything else you want me to talk about, then please do mention it down below in the comments section. Please do subscribe to me, well, like my posts. You don't have to like me. And then share them and get them out there so I can start sort of talking to more and more people and talking about any thoughts. I mean, if you want me to talk about something more to do with your mental health and veganism, or even just anything that sort of revolves around that, then please do put it in the comments, and I'll have a little chat with everyone about it. Thank you very much.